UCL playoffs are over, where we saw Mbappe have a magnifique performance at the Santiago Bernabeu against Manchester City. Serie A having a disastrous week where we saw all three teams knocked out of the competition, and Benfica, they just love a chaotic game. We're going to review all 8 games. Remember to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new around here, if you love Champions League content, and get your thoughts in the comments down below of this chaotic week. And if you want to bash on the Serie A this week, go ahead. Mayhem at the San Siro as the Feyenoord B/C team knock out Milan in a very disastrous week for Serie A teams, and Milan were the first culprit of it. They did not have a good game, Milan. Yeah, they played well in the first half. Rafael looking really good. Santi obviously scoring in the first 30 seconds. When the first goal went in, you thought, wow, this is Milan right here. This is your opportunity. You're at home. You're up against a depleted team. And it just seemed like they couldn't grab the moment, and that's the frustrating part for Milan. First half, they looked really good. They're creating chances. Rafael looking really good. They nullified Feyenoord pretty much because Feyenoord, all they had was give it to Haj Musa and see if he could create something. Then the second half occurs, and it just changed when Theo Hernandez got the stupid red card. I mean, the first yellow card, you're basically manhandling Haj Musa. No need to do that. The second one is a dive, and rightfully so, he is sent off. Kudos to the referee for sending him off. And then Feyenoord, they got the confidence. They didn't create a lot of chances. All they needed was one magnificent cross from Bueno into Carranza, who came off the bench, and that was enough for Feyenoord. And Milan, yeah, they had a couple decent chances to Yao header, but Feyenoord, this is such a massive result considering everything that has happened in the last couple weeks. Sacking Priske with all the injuries, with basically a backup midfielder in Bueno, who had to play in the midfield, who's a left back. This is what they were down to for Feyenoord. So this is massive for them, and for Milan, it's a disgrace. You simply cannot go out in this fashion, and the performance from Theo was horrendous. And Milan, where do they go from here for this season? And if you're Feyenoord, I mean, I would be shocked if they made it to the quarterfinals, but they have proven over and over again this season. They've beaten Bayern Munich. They've obviously beaten Benfica away. They go to the San Siro depleted, and they get a draw, and they advance to the round of 16. So massive kudos to Feyenoord. Milan, you got to try and regroup now for the end of the season. Conceição, he's got to take some criticism with the substitutions. How is João Felix playing for 90 minutes? Yeah, overall, not a great performance from Milan. Alphonso Davies saves the day for Bayern Munich as they almost suffered a humiliating exit by Celtic. And again, with this new format, you're seeing the so-called smaller teams, that these teams have a bit of belief that they can knock out the giants of Europe. And Celtic really played well. In the first half, they created a couple decent opportunities, like Kun to Jota. They created the chances, Celtic. They were not clinical, and obviously there was that one chance that was cleared off the line. I mean, Bayern Munich's defense is a calamity show. It is such a clown show. Whether it's Upamecano, Stanisic, to Kim, they're all over the place. There's no structure in the defending, and Celtic almost took full advantage of it in the first half. The second half, I mean, obviously Bayern created a couple opportunities. There was Gnabry chance at the back post. Second half, when Kun scored, I said, oh, we are in for a shock here, because Celtic could have really built on that momentum heading into the extra time. Obviously, Kim, can you really blame Kim in that situation? He tries to go for the tackle. It deflects off Kun, and then obviously Kun finishes off the former Bayern Munich player who actually celebrated. Yes, it's harsh on Kim, but you can't really be making that sort of rash challenge there. And Celtic, they just tried to hang on. Kasper Schmeichel is just such an elite goalkeeper, even at his age. He was making some magnificent saves, but then the dagger at the end. Alphonso Davies with just a bundle over the line to save Bayern Munich and really save Vincent Kompany from a disastrous and embarrassing exit. Because if this went to penalties, I really think Celtic would have won. I think Kasper Schmeichel would have come up clutch, but Bayern Munich survived. But you can just tell this team is not going to get anywhere near the Champions League title. They could make it to the quarterfinal, even though they could face some tough opponents before the draw tomorrow. So Bayern really got to up their game. If they want to knock out one of Atleti or Bayer Leverkusen, I mean, they're going to have to raise their level so highly. But is that feasible? Who knows? But for Celtic, I think you got to give them also massive respect, because in the past couple of years, you could say, Celtic, why are they qualifying? Why are they in this competition? This year, they showed out, except for the one game against Dortmund. So Celtic, I think they can build upon this and have a brighter future in the Champions League and hopefully make it to the round of 16 one year. But Bayern Munich, massive improvements needed. Club Brugge, if you guys haven't seen my video, go check it out on the channel where I talk about them being the most underrated team. That first half, was just magnificent. The fact that they got a goal in the first 5 minutes on a counter-attack with Dalby, who has been a sensational player this season, only 19 years old, was great. And they just built upon it. You know, there was all that talk about last week. Oh, Club Brugge, they got a lucky penalty at the end. Where you could say, yeah, it was not really a penalty. But they said, okay, cool. We're going to show you why we are in this situation and why we should be advancing to the round of 16. They just took the game to Atalanta. And Atalanta's defense, obviously there's no Kuzunu, there's no Scalvini. So they're missing a couple center backs. But they were all over the place. I mean, Toloi, the dude is so old, but he was just a disaster out there. So was Kolasinac. He was coming back from injury. And they couldn't deal with the speed of Club Brugge, with the Zolis, with the Jutkla. Van Aken's passing and his just reading of the game is so good. And Club Brugge just annihilated them in that first half. Jutkla's fantastic half-volley goal after Atalanta had about 3 glorious chances. Mignolet with a clutch save on Zappacosta. Then Pasalic almost scoring. And then Club Brugge counter-attack and they get the goal. And it was done. After the first half, finito. Club Brugge advanced to the round of 16. Yes, there was a little bit of a scare because Alamal Lukman comes onto the field and shows why he is by far the most important player for Atalanta. You can talk about Scalvini, Scamacca, Kuzunu. Alamal Lukman is Atalanta. He got the goal in the first 30 seconds. Obviously got the penalty. He missed it. Yes, people can talk about his penalty record isn't the greatest. Gasperini's comments at the end of the game is shallow and horrific because why are you throwing your best player under the bus like that? Yeah, he doesn't have a great penalty record. Just say the whole team didn't perform well. Why are you throwing one player under the bus who got the only goal in this game, got you the hat-trick in a European final to win your first ever title for Gasperini, and he's just going to throw him under the bus like that? Why does Gasperini do this? Why does he throw always his best players under the cosh? He did the same thing with Papu Gomez, and Papu Gomez and him fell out. Look, it's sad, but you know, Gasperini knows he is Atalanta. If Gasperini keeps acting like that, I mean, some players are going to be like, I'm fed up with this. So, Alamal Lukman is leaving in the summer. You can just say bye-bye. You better enjoy it while you have it, Atalanta fans. And it's sad because this could have been such a beautiful couple of years for Atalanta. You have Alamal Lukman, who's really done so well to just rectify his career. And you're going to throw it away like that, Gasperini? Really? And it was just a poor performance overall. Yeah, Atalanta played better in the second half, and obviously Mignolet made some great saves. But kudos to Club Brugge, incredible performance. They advanced to the round of 16. Now they face one of Lille or Aston Villa. I think Club Brugge can advance to the quarterfinals. So shout out to them. Atalanta, disappointing, and another Serie A team out of the competition. Benfica, they just love a chaotic game, don't they? What is it with you Benfica people? Why do you love a chaotic game? The game against Feyenoord, chaotic. The game against Monaco in the league phase, chaotic. The game against Barcelona, chaotic. And then this game again. I don't know if it's just Bruno Lage and everything that's going on with the president, Rui Costa, but it's just been such an insane Champions League campaign for Benfica. And they have another chaotic game here because 3-3, and this game could have ended 5-5. One of the teams was just clinical, or Embolo had his shooting boots on, because how Embolo, after Monaco got it back to 1-1 with Minamino's goal, beautiful goal by the way, why is Embolo skying it like that? Why? Benfica didn't play well in the first half. Benfica started playing better in the second half, but that Monaco, the first half was all them. I mean, they created enough chances to kill this game off and get back into the lead. They didn't convert the chances, and then Benfica, again Pavlidis with another goal. I mean, what I said a couple weeks ago about Pavlidis, yeah, scrap it, bro. He's been unbelievable the last couple weeks. Yes, he's missing some chances still, but his overall play is really good. Got the goal with the penalty, got the assist to Oktoglu. Great performance from him. But Monaco, they just kept fighting. They kept fighting. Benseguir with a wonderful goal. The play from Monaco, Akaluche to Benseguir with the no-look. Oh my God, it was fantastic. But the defending from both teams was so shambolic, especially the third goal for Monaco. Benfica, there's 2 players going for the header. One of you just step up and go for the header, and they just left all the space, and then Ilkena gets through on goal, and Trubin has to make the save. I mean, that's just poor from Trubin's perspective, but again, Benfica bounced back, and Kochko with a wonderful volley that just goes off the post and in. Oh, the scenes in Benfica were fantastic, and they get the 3-3 draw, and that's enough for them to advance to the round of 16. Chaotic game. Monaco, it's just like in these big moments in Europe, they kind of just always fumble. Obviously, barring that one epic team they had with the Mbappes and all those players, but it just seems like in the last couple of years, when they face a little bit of adversity or they face a good team, Monaco just crumble. But for Benfica, at least they advanced around to 16. At least they put some respect on Liga Portugal because other teams haven't this season. Chaotic game, kudos to Benfica, and Pavlidis is the man right now, turning into Mitroglou from a couple years ago at Benfica. Nothing much to say here. I didn't get to watch the game between Dortmund and Sporting. I kind of knew it was over even before the second leg began because Dortmund won 3-0 in Lisbon. Watching the highlights, Dortmund created chances, Guirassy missing a penalty, and that's just been the thing for Dortmund. You just cannot find any consistency with this team. Over the weekend, they lose to Bochum 2-0. I mean, really? And then yesterday, they get the 0-0 draw. Sporting didn't offer much. They're dealing with a lot of injuries. You know, Gyökeres didn't even travel. So clearly, Sporting are like, yeah, we're going to throw this Champions League campaign away. We're not even going to try and do a comeback. We're just going to focus on the league. And Dortmund really should have scored some goals. Let's see how they can bounce back. Dortmund will get one of Aston Villa or Lille, so they should fancy their chances, but they're going to have to improve their performances as well. The game was wrapped up. Dortmund controlled the matchup. They just got to be a bit more clinical. Guirassy's got to be a bit more clinical. And Sporting, what a diabolical ending to this Champions League campaign. At one point, they were in the top 3 in the league phase, and they go out in the playoffs. Ruben Amorim, you do not want to play PSG right now. 7-0? With 7 different goal scorers? Okay, granted, it's... And Stade Brestois rested a couple players because they knew as well they're not going to come back. But 10-0 on aggregate? I mean, you do not want to play this PSG team right now. They haven't lost since November, people. They're unbeaten in Ligue 1. You can say what you want, Farmers League, all this sort of nonsense. Lille made it to the top 8. And we've seen Monaco have some good performances in the Champions League. Stade Brestois have some good performances in the Champions League. So Ligue 1 is pretty competitive this year. For PSG to do this and the football they're playing, you can just see every player is super confident. From Vitinha to João Neves to Hakimi to Nuno Mendes. And then obviously the fabulous front 3, Barcola, Dembele, and of course, Kvaratskhelia, who gets his first Champions League goal with PSG. It's just dominant. I don't need to go into super analysis about this game because we all knew when PSG won that first leg 3-0, wrap, done, and watch some splendid football from PSG, and they played some great football. Of course, they're going to give up chances. I think Stade Brestois hit the post 4 times in this tie, so they kind of got unlucky, but this was always going to be a mismatch. But props to Stade Brestois. It's their first ever European campaign, and to make it to the playoff, I think that's super admirable. But PSG, they are on a mission right now. They're playing with such confidence. If you're one of Barcelona or Liverpool, you want to avoid these guys at all costs. Yeah, people will say, oh, it's PSG, Michael. Look at their history in Europe. They're just bottle jobs. Okay, yeah, maybe their history isn't the greatest. But this team just seems to be hungry. They got youth. So I wonder how the experience of Luis Enrique as the manager, and I think now the players are really believing in Luis Enrique. I think they're all buying into his philosophy, and the players are playing good football. I mean, I do not want to play. As a Liverpool fan, avoid PSG at all costs. UEFA, how much money do you want? How much money do you want? Because these guys are scary. The goal from Barcola was fantastic. Kvaratskhelia at the back post. Vitinha's rocket. The Nuno Mendes goal where it's from fullback to fullback. What do you think, people? Do you think PSG can upset one of Barcelona or Liverpool? For me, I think they can. And they are a team you don't want to play right now. Mbappe, magnifique. 3-1 for Real Madrid against Manchester City. I didn't think this tie was over after Madrid won in Manchester, but you're never going to back down from Madrid winning at the Santiago Bernabeu. Especially in a Champions League night when it's the second leg, you don't go against them. You simply don't. And it's the first 3 minutes of the game. Manchester City, just stay in the matchup. Keep it 0-0 as long as possible and then grow into the matchup. Haaland wasn't starting. Obviously, he's coming off an injury against Newcastle. Marmoush had to start. And you concede like that in the first 4 minutes. All it is just one simple long ball over the top from Asensio, who's been a revelation from the Castilla. A great ball from him, and the touch from Mbappe, the finish to loop it over Ederson was magnificent. Madrid in that first half, that might be the best football they played this season. They played really well against Osasuna at home. They played really well against Las Palmas at home. Dortmund game, the second half was really good. That first half, I mean, you cannot say a negative thing about the football that Madrid play. Rodrigo was fantastic. Valverde, Tchouameni finally playing in the DM role, and you could see with his passing, it was elite in that first half. And the second goal for Madrid, I think it just sums up everything about last night's performance. The build-up play from the back to the front, to the right side with Valverde and Rodrigo. Bellingham playing it through to Vini to Rodrigo, and then Mbappe said, watch this, I'm going to do an ankle breaker on Gvardio. Poor Gvardio, man. I mean, he got sold back to Croatia and Mbappe just finished at near post, a finish that we always resemble with Mbappe. He gets the third goal, magnificent, just soloist to put it on his left foot to curl it into the bottom left corner. That's the Mbappe we know, people. That's why we watch football. We want to watch football because of the stars and things that we cannot do as normal human beings, because these guys are aliens. For how good they are as footballers, and Mbappe was an alien yesterday. He was unreal. His movement off the ball was fantastic, the touch was great, and his reading of the game. Remember we were so critical early on in the season, offsides. Look, yesterday, one long ball over the top. Maybe earlier in the season he would have been offside. Yesterday, no. Mbappe said, not going to happen this time around, and overall Madrid were just immense. Valverde at the right back. Dude, this guy is so underrated. He's probably the most underrated sort of world-class player in the world for me. Fede is just a beast. Yeah, he doesn't do the step overs or roulettes or everything like that. Everything he just does is basic, but he does it at such a high level that it goes unnoticed. Valverde, don't worry, it's not going unnoticed. You are doing God's work for this Madrid team. I wonder how long Carlo is going to experiment him at the right back position, considering that Lucas Vazquez is coming back healthy soon. But Valverde, epic performance from him. Also Rodrigo, epic performance from him. Manchester City, we knew, like I said before the playoffs began, I don't think they're going to win the Champions League, and I knew Real Madrid are going to win this tie. But Man City, from the last 10 minutes in Manchester to this performance right here, wow, Man City just look like an old team. They look like a YMCA team. You know, when you go to the YMCA, you play pick-up basketball. That's what Manchester City look. They're rolling out with Gundogan to Bernardo Silva, and they don't have the legs to cover the midfield. Like Nico Gonzalez had to do all the work, and Nico Gonzalez was telling them, hey, press up high, guys. And their pressing wasn't good enough either for Manchester City. If you're going to press high up the field, it's got to be effective. Otherwise, there's going to be those long balls over the top, or Bellingham or Ceballos are going to find those little pockets of space. And yeah, that's the biggest problem for Man City. Their pressing isn't good enough. Defensively, they are shambolic. I feel bad for Husnov because the guy's not a right back, even though I thought he did pretty well after 30 minutes. Yeah, not a great performance from Man City. They deservedly go out of this competition because they have not been elite at all in the Champions League. And Madrid, they're picking up form, people. And yeah, you don't want to play this team right now. Can we get a Madrid derby in the round of 16? That would be sensational to watch. And the final team from the Serie A to go out is Juventus. 3-4-3. Triplete. This has been such a disastrous week for the Serie A. I'll get to PSV in a moment, but we got to talk about Serie A first. The fact that Milan went out to Feyenoord, a depleted team, I think is horrendous. Atalanta, I was actually really surprised on how bad they look, even though Club Brugge are a good team. And I was kind of worried about no Adam Lukman with the attack. And it paid dividends because Club Brugge won. But this one, I knew PSV were going to win. Go back and look at my predictions, people. I said PSV got the second leg at home. This team are not good at away from home. Peter Bosz just doesn't know how to implement his football away from home. At home, PSV are monsters. The style of football that Peter Bosz wants to play at home is very high intense, get it up the field as quickly as possible. Noah Lang yesterday, by the way, really good performance. He was really quiet in Turin. Yesterday, he showed up, and Mr. Eternal himself, Ivan Perisic, at 36 years old, after having the ACL injury with Tottenham, to not a great spell at Hajduk Split, goes to PSV, scores 2 goals against Juventus. Hey, that's that Inter blood in him. He wanted to show out against Juventus. Then they get the goal in extra time with Flamengo, a little bit of a scrappy goal. Juve should be really doing better there. PSV deserved this win. They outclassed them in the second half. First half, you could say, was a bit 50-50 game. Second half was all PSV. That's why I like this PSV team. Yes, they've been struggling recently in the Eredivisie, and they're allowing Ajax to win the league with Farioli in his first season. But they have this sort of momentum. When they feel the momentum and the crowd feels it, then you see the likes of Luke de Jong really balling out. Gustil, obviously Perisic to Zaibari. They are a very good team. Bakayoko coming off the bench to bring a little bit more directness and speed. It is wonderful to watch this PSV team. But when it's not working, oh, they concede goals. And they concede a lot of goals. Can they knock out one of Inter and Arsenal? I find it really difficult, especially with the second leg away from home. But heck, PSV, another underrated team. But you simply can't trust them at times. But phenomenal performance yesterday. For Juve, I mean, I knew they were going to lose because you can't trust this team. Again, they're another team like Milan, a bipolar team. They'll show you great moments and then horrendous moments. Yesterday, once Renato Vega went down injured, I said, uh-oh. Lloyd Kelly at center back against this PSV team, good luck. And it turned out to be that way. and they couldn't generate any sort of attack. The passing was terrible. There was no combination play. Koopmeiners was terrible. Conceição just running into defenders after defenders. Nico Gonzalez, I mean, the guy works hard, but why is he an attacking winger or in the attacking midfield position? The guy doesn't have creation. He doesn't. Nico Gonzalez is a decent player, but he's not going to be an elite player for Juventus. That's why you got to just... I don't know why Thiago Motta doesn't trust Yildiz at this moment in time. It baffles me, but Juve show no urgency. They show no fight. And you look at the end of the game, Motta's like, oh no, we didn't have a fight. Locatelli said after the game, PSV wanted him more. So clearly, the player has the mentality. The manager doesn't have the mentality, and that is red flags for Thiago Motta, a manager that I rate. I think he's going to do a good job, but he has to develop this winning culture and this sort of burning feeling inside that this loss should sting badly on Juventus. For the last couple of years in the Champions League, it's been embarrassment. Round of 16 exit, round of 16 exit, round of 16 exit, don't even qualify, and now you're going out in the playoff to PSV? Embarrassing for Juve. They deservedly go out because they did not perform well at all in Eindhoven. PSV deservedly through, and all three Serie A teams go out. Now, I don't want to see this narrative about Serie A teams. Oh, look at this dusty league. Oh my God, it's terrible. I remember 2 or 3 seasons ago, one La Liga team made it out of the group stage. Did we say La Liga was dusty? No, we didn't. We just said, okay, off fear, it happens. Let's see how you bounce back. Now the Serie A, all the chips are into Inter's court, and let's see how Inter perform. But I think Serie A, this is actually a good wake-up call, just to realize you're not fully back yet. Yes, Serie A have performed very well in the last couple of years in Europe, making it to Conference League finals, Europa League finals, obviously the Champions League final, but they still need that other added element of you need to be good defensively. Some of these Serie A teams, they're not good defensively. So let's see how they bounce back next season. Juve and Milan, they need Champions League football. Let's see how both teams react after being knocked out of the Champions League. But kudos to the Eredivisie and Belgian Pro League. Benelux, they own Serie A right now. But there we have it, people. The review of the second legs of the playoffs. Enthralling action, goals galore, teams going out in embarrassing fashions, teams rising to the challenge. The playoffs, I think, were a huge success. And also, who is the most dangerous team right now in the round of 16? Is it PSG or Real Madrid? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. We'll be back tomorrow for the draw reaction. Oh boy, please Liverpool, just don't get PSG. Have a beautiful day. Stay safe in this crazy world. Till next time, adios.